There is some concerning news for cat owners this morning. A number of cat food products sold by retailers including Sainsbury's, Pets at Home and Amazon have been urgently recalled over fears they could cause serious illness and death in cats.
Well, it's been claimed the affected products could be linked to a rise in cases of the potentially fatal cat disease, pancytopenia. Usually only one case is recorded each year, but in the UK, since April, at least 278 cases have been identified.
Well, in just a moment, we'll be speaking with pet owner Vicky Winchester, who recently had her own terrifying experience with this condition. But first of all, our vet, Dr. Scott Miller, is here with us in the studio. So let's just find out, what is it? I mean, it sounds extremely serious. So is it common?
So pancytopenia is a severe and life-threatening condition in cats. It can be present in other patients as well. Basically, it is a lack of all cells in the blood, so red, white and platelets. It is something that we see very rarely. The problem with this particular situation, which is an evolving situation and frightening when it comes to the feline health in this country, is that we don't have a linked up NHS service. So we have separate companies running veterinary clinics and also independent practices. So if we have one and the guy down the road has a similar case, then we might not talk about it. But what's happening is, as you say, since April, since last week, there was 130 cases last week. Now there's 278.
Wow.
This condition presents as maybe a little bit of weakness, maybe they're a little bit off their food, but then it will extend to them being incredibly unwell. So they become anemic, they can spontaneously bleed, so they can bleed from their mouth, from their back end, through their urine. They may be breathing up because they have low red blood cells, so they're not actually capturing the oxygen like they should, and they can be incredibly unwell. And these patients then are being seen across the country and in dire circumstance where they need intensive care.
It's got a 70% mortality rate.
That's it,
as it stands at the moment. How is it linked to food, to pet food? And once again, these are the very early stages of this investigation. We should stress that it would certainly be pointing towards some sort of link to food.
That's right. So the Royal Veterinary College has been collating some of the information, and the only thing that they can find as a common link is the foods that these cats are being fed. Now, when we see these cases in hospital, we normally would appreciate that they're either being caused by heavy metal toxicity or potentially by viruses. But in this case, obviously loads of different cats, different ages from all across the UK, and it's these three different products. So it's the Applause products, Ava products, and Sainsbury's own hypoallergenic. Now, rather than a normal food recall where you'd be given batch numbers, now instead it's as a result of the factory itself. So Fold Hill Foods, in Lincolnshire, they have been very responsible, and they've taken a stance that, you know what, we're not sure that this is the cause. There's a suspected link, and no one knows what the cause is at this stage. But what they've decided to do is to recall all of those. So Sainsbury's is doing it, so is Applause and Ava through Pets at Home.
Okay, well,
and Amazon as well.
Yes.
Also, we should also point out that there is a reference code for this particular factory, and that is GB218E5009. So that's GB218E5009. That will be on the products to look out for.
That's right. So rather than it being a batch number, that's actually a factory reference. So any of the products that are produced from that factory are being recalled.
Right.
And what I would say is that if you think that you're feeding your cat this product, immediately check that number. We will have that on our website, and stop feeding it immediately.
We've got the full list of all the products.
We do. There's
on
nearly
our app
20.
and on our website as well.
let's speak to Vicky now, because she joins us. Good morning to you. Now, unfortunately, you've had first-hand experience of this because you've got your kittens. So you've got three cats, actually, two kittens, and it was Delilah, wasn't it? That was. Is this Delilah you're with now?
This is Delilah.
This is Delilah. So what were the first symptoms that Delilah had?
Well, first of all, she was just not acting herself. She was sleeping a little bit more, and then we noticed a small amount of blood in her urine. We just booked her into the vets, assuming it was just going to be nothing. They took a routine blood test from her, and unfortunately they called us back then the next day and informed us that she had zero white blood cells, zero red blood cells, and her platelets were at zero as well. We were called back to the vet, and they informed us that they needed to refer her to a specialist veterinary surgeon in the UK, with the potential of her having a blood transfusion. Which was obviously incredibly frightening, because Delilah always appeared clinically well. She was never, really ill, given the fact that what was going on the inside.
Well, the vets have investigated. You did think at one stage that you were going to lose her, and they were really quite surprised by those blood tests when the results came back. The treatment's costing £500 a day. Your other kitten, Darcy, is now beginning to be unwell. You've started a Facebook campaign. This could, if you hadn't said anything,
I know,
this could have gone unnoticed, but you then got on Facebook and started a campaign.
Well, when we were bringing Delilah home on the 11th of June, the specialist vet that was treating her informed us that the only link that had been made was through a grain-free diet. When I came home, I put pancytopenia into Facebook, and I came across another post from a gentleman called Ben, who was going through exactly the same thing with his cat. And he had put on his post that he was feeding Applause. I was feeding Applause, and then another lady commented that she was feeding her cat Bo Applause, and we thought maybe it's not a grain-free diet, maybe there's a link to the brands of food. I then decided to set up the Facebook page and conduct a poll for confirmed cases of pancytopenia for people to vote the foods that they were feeding. And that's when
I get the thing that's so important about this is that by doing this and by taking this poll and then sort of pinpointing exactly what it was, you realise that the number was the number that we've just given out here, which is back to that factory. And what you did with that information was then give it to the Royal Veterinary College, and 2 days later, it was these items were recalled, which is incredible.
I think this is just a perfect example of how brilliant social media can be in a situation like this. We left the vets not knowing, I'd never heard of pancytopenia. It wasn't until we took to social media that I personally feel that real action was taken to potentially save thousands of lives. I mean, obviously we don't know for certain at this point that it is the food, but given the fact that it is the only similarity between all the cases, obviously that's why they're conducting the tests now that they are to find what exactly.
I hope your other kitten, I hope that Darcy's all right, and I know that Delilah's certainly on the mend, so good luck and well done for that, well done for pointing that out. We've been to all the companies mentioned. Fold Hill Foods is the manufacturer, Applause cat food brand that Vicky used, as well as Sainsbury's Pets at Home. They say they're supporting and working with the investigation to look into the links between the food products and feline pancytopenia cases. We've been to the FSA and DEFRA. They've said that the cause of feline pancytopenia is being investigated. Nothing yet to confirm a link with the cat food at this stage, although it is looking pretty likely. Amazon, where Vicky bought the products, have said it's contacting customers to let them know about the Applause recall and refunding them. And Fold Hill Foods, the manufacturer, said we recognise the distress this is causing to many people, and we're working with organisations to assist them in identifying the source. Obviously very worrying for pet owners. Does this affect dogs?
At this stage, not. But many dog owners will be reading this, be concerned about the possibility of heavy metal toxicity, and may choose not to feed them, but there's no immediate cause for concern at this stage. But what I would say to people is that there is a lot of great support. Vicky's done an amazing job to provide that Facebook service. It's actually helped us as a veterinary profession to get onto this now. The Royal Veterinary College has a huge amount of information on their website, but it's really key that if you're concerned, you see that your cat's been fed these products or they're showing any symptoms, to speak to a vet.
Should also point out that these can be in big bags, so you may have bought in bulk, and you might be keeping it in the garage or in the larder or under the kitchen cupboard, so you might have quite a lot of this stuff.
I'm really worried about this. Honestly, I think that we are reporting just the tip of the iceberg. I think that these numbers are going to spiral into thousands. And so I really can't stress enough, if your cat is showing any signs of weakness, debilitation, if they have any blood in the urine or feces, if they seem weak, if they're struggling with breathing, then please go and see your vet. Go and get them checked straight away, because it could be the difference between life and death.
And they
really.
can't pass it on to each other if one cat has it?
No, so it's not an infectious
Purely,
situation.
it's
It's
just
a
from the
case
food.
of taking in food and then that affecting them. But unfortunately, most multi-cat households will
Eating
feed the same food.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Scott, thank you. Vicky, thank you very
Well
much
done,
indeed.
Vicky.
Well done for
Brilliant
pointing
work.
that out. A reminder of that batch number being recalled. It's GB218E5009. I think we've got that on your screen now.
Yeah.
We'll leave it there for just a second or two. If you want to grab a pen, and don't forget that all the products that we've been talking about, we've listed them all, and they're on our app and on our website.